Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, it's Utah or bust. Ever since I got back from my Utah trip last August with my son Toby, I've been meaning to put this together, although I knew I would save it for the winter months when I was, not having as much shows to create, not as much trees to work on, but I was super excited to show you the trees of Utah, in particular the Utah juniper. So it was a fantastic trip with my son Toby. I was able to meet up with my daughter and some of her friends in Zion National Park, but it all gets started in the Great Salt Lake. Salt Lake City, Utah. We're at the Great Salt Lake. We're at the very top, just about 6,700 feet above sea level. And there are some trees that are still alive this high. We're taking some pictures along our route. We had about a 4-mile hike up to the top, Toby and I. And we're just looking at the beautiful variety of a juniper. I'm impressed with the amount of the blue berries, the cones on these species so high up. The lower down ones does not have that many, and they're just loaded up here at the very tip at almost 6,700 feet above sea level. So this isn't even the final destination. We're heading to the Zion National Park. We're heading to Moab, Utah. We've been in Salt Lake for a day, Provo, and just getting some pictures of trees and looking at all these wonderful what could be bonsai. Just loving life and loving the chance to get outside and look at a whole bunch of really cool trees. So we'll keep on our journey, and we'll see you in Zion and or Moab, within a few clicks. After leaving the Great Salt Lake, we went on to Zion National Park area. And on our very first hike, we were not able to go high up into the hikes because of COVID, and we didn't have a bus pass. And so there was one pass where you would go into the park, and you go up and you start to head east on one of the highways there, and you go through this mile-long tunnel. And on the end of the tunnel, soon after you get out, there's this place you can pull over, and usually it's pretty crowded. We got a pretty decent parking spot. It was our shortest hike of the trip, but the wow factor at the end was amazing. Check this out. Just a few photos from this very short hike, but check this out. Oh my gosh, that pine, the pine tree up there, kind of in between the rock face of the cliff there. Well, not really a cliff, but then the big rock on top of it. Any sediment that was between those layers of rocks supporting that tree. Just such a phenomenal view. And then you can see Toby there on the edge, and just that beautiful view up there on our first overlook. That was just a short little hike because we couldn't go deeper that day. We were meeting my daughter the next day. What an amazing hike that was. We got to go on another hike. Now this was actually the last day. My son Toby and I went on this hike that was just outside the campsite. Now we didn't camp there, but when you go into there to the visiting center there and you get ready to jump on the buses to go deeper into some of the amazing hikes, there was this campground hike right to this first little, I don't know, it's probably 300 to 700 foot incline.
And the trees in this section were phenomenal. We spent a good amount of time up here. So look at these beautiful trees on this nice mile or so hike that we got to on our last day.
Springdale, Utah, the city that enters the Zion National Park. And we are doing a hike on day 4 or 5 here of our trip, Toby and I. And you are just in paradise here with all the trees. There's pine here and a ton of junipers, of course. And we're standing by just all kinds of trees with all kinds of age and gnarly trunks. One of my favorite things about being in nature anywhere, whether it's Zion or back in Minnesota, is when you walk out and look at trees, look at them, and they grow every which way, left, right, down, sideways, to reach the sun. Here in these great hikes at Zion and Moab, we're going to be later on today and tomorrow, erosion happens on the hillsides, these mountainsides, and then you see exposed roots. So it gives you a lot of inspiration to create your bonsai, and realizing that this bonsai is really truly an art form, and it's how you see it. And when you're in nature, there's a palette in front of you every turn that you make, and it's so awesome to see all these trees surviving with such little water and doing everything they can to survive. Absolutely phenomenal. We're gonna keep hiking, and I couldn't take enough pictures in a lifetime to capture everything and show you. So if there's one thing I would tell you to do, is to get outside and get to any park anywhere near your house, or come to Zion and see what they have to offer. Absolutely stunning.
So we left the Zion portion of the park and we went to another favorite part in Utah, and that is Moab area. We've done some mountain biking in Moab, we've done some rock climbing, and of course the trees still are beautiful. We kicked it all off. We got there in time for a sunset hike. Let's look at a few of the beautiful real-life bonsai around sunset time. It's stunning. It continues to be stunning. Now we're in Arches National Park near Moab, Utah. And we're on our second hike of the trip. We went and did a sunset hike last night at the Windows Arches, and here we're at the Landscape Arch, and next to this, amazing juniper. And it's just huge, growing out of this sand and rock, and 10 feet tall for sure. And just one bonsai after another in nature, stunted in growth due to the growing dry conditions, I'm sure. Just a little growth per year. It's just stunning. If you ever get the chance to go, I can't say it enough, get out and see the trees in Utah. Great inspiration for going back home to the bonsai studio, if you will. So we're going to keep hiking. We just can't get enough. There's a tree around every corner, and there's twists and gnarls, and again, I use these trees to see back at home now when I'm looking at trees. I got a weird branch growing a weird way. In many ways, who cares? Because it does it in nature. Doesn't have to be this picture perfect tree. I was talking to one of the MBS members a couple weeks back, and he was talking about how I guess there's a tendency in some of the European style trees to look very, very like helmety, he called it, where it's just this perfect shape and perfectly, in nature they're not perfect. So, but again, to each their own, right? So, beauty in the eye of the beholder. So we'll show you some more trees along the way. We're going to continue to hiking because there's just so much to see. Still alive. This day was filled with a couple amazing hikes. So from the Landscape Arch to what was the double O arch there, here's another shot there of my son down low in one of the double O's there. I have that picture now hanging in my plant room in a great big 18 by 18 square. Just one of my favorite images of our hike. And the hikes were amazing. The trees are all over the place, and we even got to feed a few chipmunks there while we were there at the Double O Arch. So some phenomenal hikes, some amazing trees. Absolutely great. At the very end of our trip, we had one more hike to do, and this came from a tip that my daughter had heard on one of her hikes in Zion before we met up. She had met up with a couple of hikers that says when you go to Arches, you should check out the Corona Arch. Now, it's not within the Arches National Park. It is outside, but real close, just up the road a little bit north and west of Arches entrance. And you get in there and you go on this hike, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And the glorious part about this hike is we saw two people heading out of the park there, or out of this trail, two people coming out, maybe three, and then we had the place to ourselves for over an hour. Not a single soul. And these trees, again, on this beautiful arch with the beautiful blue skies, and absolutely stunning trees, stunning walk. So here we finish off with the Corona Arch hike. There you have it, Utah or bust. It was not a bust. It was absolutely phenomenal. From the Great Salt Lake down to the Zion area, back up to Moab and back home. And the trees we saw were phenomenal. Of course, my son knows I'm a little bit crazy with the bonsai, but he's an avid hiker. He loves the Moab area and Utah in general. He loves taking pictures like I do. And we could have been there for a week more and still not even remotely gotten bored. Unbelievable. If you ever have the chance to go visit Utah and go check out the national parks, there's Canyonlands, and there's the Zion like we talked about, there's Arches, and there's several other parks that we haven't even explored yet. I haven't even gone canyoneering yet in Utah, and I've been there the last couple of years. Can't wait to go back. Get out of your home area, go check out some trees. But of course, remember, those trees growing here probably not as successful for me in Minnesota, but there are plenty of junipers that I can start making some, maybe some copycat trees. But all of the twists and the turns and the dead and the absolutely not man-made and beautiful, and you get an idea of where all these trees are reaching and stretching and suffering and trying to stay alive. I can't express enough how amazing of a time this was, and I hope you too get to go out and enjoy a wonderful trip like this to see some amazing trees. We did no tree collecting, we just did a lot of photographing for some inspiration, and to this day I still get chills when I see those photos, and re-putting this video together, absolutely phenomenal. Hey, take care of yourself, take care of your bonsai. We'll see you on the next show. I'm Dave Weiss for Dave's Bonsai. Click a like, tell your friends about us, and we'll see you next time.